Welcome back to Sinbad Trains. Hope you guys have been well. This video is a little bit more of an exploration, and it is, for the first time in so long, a negatively titled video. But the reason for it is honestly because every year on my main channel, I make a video entitled How to Make 2025 the Best Year of Your Life. How to Make 2026 the Best Year of Your Life. And I love that encouraging aspect to things. As 2025 draws to a conclusion, I'm beginning to realize that this year might be the most stuck and the least amount of progress I have made in my entire professional life. Maybe in my times 2017, 2018, 2019 when I was living in Los Angeles, perhaps some aspect of those years felt more stuck. But honestly, every year after 2018 has had some major breakthrough every single year, like some huge development forward in some way. And 2025 might be the first year in which there was no new progression. There was no substantial new progression. I feel this most indicatively because I did an in-body scan the other day and it kicked back to 84 skeletal muscle mass, 12.5% body fat, which is to say I've neither gained nor lost muscle and I've neither gained nor lost fat. And that's actually 2025 in a nutshell. I've basically stayed in the same place. Now, the same place for me in this era of my life, it's not bad. Just like my body composition, it's not bad. I'm sure it's top 5, 6, 8% for my age group. But that's just the thing. I've had an enormous progression forward every year. To just hold on to what I've had to in the past, it's not a bad place to be. I have a very privileged position in life. But I do feel that for the next 10, 20 years, every year could be having its substantial breakthroughs. So I want to talk to you about what I'm recognizing, what I learned from this year, about why it didn't have those breakthroughs. Why I've been enormously stuck, or at least stayed in the same place. And I'm hoping that me confessing all of these things to you will deliver some value back. Sometimes it is valuable to go into the negative. It makes you consider the inverse of what is possible to actually get a result in your life. So the first thing I'll say is sleep. As I look back at my Aura Ring reports of the last year, my average bedtime was 12:53 a.m., 12:30 a.m., and average wake-up time was 8:16, 7:50, 8:16, something like that. So on average, my total sleep time, just in the night's progression over the last year, has been like 6 hours, 37 minutes, 6 hours, 53 minutes. The total time I spent in bed might be 8 hours, but that overall sleep time was actually like 6 hours, 53 minutes. There's many reasons for this. I've had insomnia all my life, and if I'm not spending a substantial amount of time in the sun every day, especially during the Minnesota winters, 5 months out of the year, I just kind of accept insomnia. And the beautiful thing about working for myself is that I don't have to, most days, set an alarm. I don't have to have an established wake-up time. But even so, I end up getting up around 8 a.m., 8:15 a.m., 6-7 days a week. So I've consistently had a sleep score average that's been like 77, 75. And 77 as a sleep score, it's honestly not bad, but it's not enough for you to have true connection to your subconscious mind, like true alignment with your subconscious mind. So I would say the first thing I could have done is just gone to sleep by like 11. If I could get my place where I was actually asleep every night by 11 p.m. and still awake at 8. That alone would have given me so many more subconscious insights, subconscious hunches that would have bringing me to the next level. It would have given me a substantial progression. So I think I'll be prioritizing this year. There's a book called Sleep Smarter in which Sean Stevenson talks about how as close as you can get to 10 p.m. for your bedtime, that's called money time sleep. Every hour before 2 a.m. is substantially more testosterone inducing, HGH inducing. Advantages of early sleep is superior to late sleep. You can still spend the same amount of time in bed, but if you sleep late in the day, it's just not going to be as rejuvenative. I just didn't recognize this because most days I feel well rested. I feel good. But there was actually a deeper level of rest that I could have had access to all this time. And so it's like the discipline of this, figuring it out. So much of my career is related to my face, my presentation, my body composition, my sharpness. And so to not have that fully dialed just because of something like sleep, I'm sorry I belabored this point so much, but even for you, you might find that you haven't been completely optimal with your sleep. Number 2, I don't want to give the details of this cause for failure too much because I want to protect people, but I'll say it in a surface level way. My coaching client, Artin, has a few times over given this point. He said A players hire A players, and B players hire C players. In a business, the people you work with is incredibly important. And the standard you set is vastly important. You need to maintain that standard. And it's better if everyone just keeps an insanely high standard. For the first 6 months of 2025, the standards in every part of my life, but especially business and organizational, was slipping hard. And that's just because I was in close proximity to influences that were just a negative drain. I was in close proximity to influences that didn't hold my standard. Some of that potentially, I think honestly, there was no cure to this. It's nothing I could have done personally. I wish I could tell you more in detail what I'm actually talking about. I'm being deliberately vague. The company you keep, you're better off being alone than in the company of non-excellence. And if you lack excellence in yourself, at this point, I have such a repulsion, such a profound repulsion for lack of excellence that I really wouldn't even be able to have a dialogue with you. I have seen how much it costs me to not be in the company of excellence, like excellent people and excellent mindsets, that I would want to stay away from it at all costs. It's even gotten to the point now where I will actually turn away or refuse a coaching client who doesn't have that sense of internal excellence about them. If that quality isn't there, I don't even want my clients affecting my mindset. I need that internal mindset, this thing within me, to be incredibly strong. The vibration to run very, very deep. So that's the second reason. And, take from it what you will. You must be in the company of excellence. On the opposite of that, if there are people who you notice in your worldview who are more excellent than you, like they do things better than you want to do everything you can to be in those people's company, be in those people's circle, and be worthy of their circle. I remember in college, a friend of mine, Vayu, was so exceptional at studies that I actually made it my mission to become his friend because he was taking over the college campus. He's gone on to do incredible things. He ended up getting a PhD from Harvard. One of the sincerely most remarkable people I've ever met in my life. You should do what you can to be in the company of excellence. You can sense it from people's mindsets, and you must develop an insane repulsion from people who are weak. And now for anyone who wants to work with me or collaborate with me or even be my client, I actually demand excellence from them. If that sense of excellence isn't there, sheer commitment, the desire and the willingness to do great work, to do the best you possibly can, I'm just disgusted by you. I know how much it costs. I can't be around that at all. It's been a huge part of what made 2025 miss. The third thing here then is just energetically. My longest semen retention streaks this year got up to 50 days, which is really good. But even then, I just think in the surrounding disciplines of what I could have worked on, it could have been even sharper. I think it's just that complete purity of the mind and that complete, when I'm at my best and I'm most internally abundant, then I have no need for any external validation at all. It's just completely internally driven. And I'm just competing against my calendar to do my very best work. And when I do accomplish that day's agenda, I feel very, very powerful. Having that in my corner where my vibration is really high, that's really impactful to me. I consider the fact that I'm able to meditate extremely well. I know the Gayatri Mantra. It's one of the most powerful things my dad gave to me when I was a kid. He made me go through this thread ceremony, a jano. And so this basically mentor, this religious figure, taught me how to do the Gayatri Mantra in my meditation sessions. It's like I already knew it, but it was like an initiation that he gave me. And it was after that season of my life where I knew how to meditate really, really well. There was another guru of our family, Swami Hari. He was known as the Laughing Monk. I learned how to meditate from him. So there are a number of practices in my life that I know really well. Things like cleaning my home, organization, meditation. I've got this vision board, that makes it clear to me exactly what I want. And it's so easy for me to be connected to my subconscious because of it. I think I was doing these practices, but it was at an intermediate level. There were a lot of distractions in the midst of it. And I think that was also costing me a lot. I was doing it to 60 to 70%, those practices. But that's also why my results were 60 to 70%. I mean, it was not a bad year. There was progress made. I made some money. I got 70 to 80% of my part 2 of River Rats done. I got way better at swimming. And I attempted the Ironman 73 2 additional times. So there was stuff that happened, but energetically, it was I was at 70% of my knowledge base. And so my results were kind of at 70% of that. I wish I would have taken some of those energetic disciplines even further. I'm talking cold showers, more regular meditation, keeping the immaculate score with my digital files and my physical spaces even stronger, getting them to damn near 100%. Just a sleep score of 77 is not bad. It's not bad, but I wish I would got it to 90. Today it was 91. That would have been really good to do. That if you want to get those exceptional results, you have to try to play the game at the highest possible level. It's logarithmic. The closer you get to the top tier level of excellence, your results are going to be dramatically stronger. It's like you get way more for being a 10 out of 10 than you do for being an 8 out of 10. So that's the third reason. Those energetic practices, I did them at like 80%, 70%, but not to 100. Number 5, micronutrients. This sounds kind of whatever, but for the first 4 or 5 months of the year, my micronutrient profile was really low. I was eating grass-fed beef and white rice a lot and eggs. And some people on the internet might argue that, grass-fed beef, it has a ton of micronutrients actually. I don't know. I just don't fully think so. I just don't know, man. I've had this realization emerge out of my spirit. When I was eating that beef, I still had bags under my eyes. I still had like discolored skin a little bit here or there. And when I brought the micronutrients back in full, the thing that I like about chicken salads, like you've got microgreens, arugula, tomatoes, heirloom tomatoes, avocados, even drizzling some lemon on top. Because the truth is, when you have like some sort of citrus with vitamin K, it increases nutrient absorption. Avocados are like overpowered for when it comes to like nutrient absorption as well. My skin looked so much better. On beef and rice, my skin didn't really look that good. And when I look at the people in my life who's just like their diet is beef and rice, it's like, how can you truly be that energetically rich? I was actually feeling in my whatever that the inflammation was more. Like there was more inflammation in my body. I just didn't look as pleasant or elegant or as sharp. With the microgreens and just the more salads, more micronutrient dense foods, I tend to look more beautiful. I tend to look more lustrous. And I think if my physical manifestation is like that, then the results would be better out of the year. So it was only until the summer, it was around April or May, where I just had this subconscious realization. I was like, I need to quit beef. That micronutrient profile, whatever, or the fact that I was eating suffering, it was damaging me. So I got rid of beef in my diet. Some people who watch the channel may push back on this. I know there's a ton of literature about how beef is really anabolic. It's good for you. It increases testosterone. That's why I started eating it in the first place, because I'd heard all of these things. But it's just the conclusion I came to now. In my perspective, the reason that my results started to go down to some degree came from introducing beef in my diet. In fact, I introduced beef in my diet in August of 2023, and I would honestly argue that that's when a downward trend sort of began for me, is in August of 23. Okay, and then this brings me to the last idea in the video, action on the knife's edge or action taking on time. I have had this internal clock running. When you work for yourself, you need to set the clock for yourself, but I can hear it now. It tells me things to do. Like it was 1:30 p.m. on a Monday afternoon, and the clock told me you need to start recording your video at 1:30. Like at 1:30, we need to start recording. Begin recording now. In the past, I wouldn't fully listen to that dialogue. Part of that comes from loss of success, reason number 2. Basically, the person I was working with made me fall out of love of filmmaking. I started resenting every part of the job. So I wouldn't take action on time, partly because of my association with him. You can hear it internally when a certain thing needs to be done by. I feel it dramatically because of the 2,000 meter swim. That is such a reliable indicator of how much I'm about to hate my life. By 3 p.m. today, I need to start a 2,000 meter swim, and then I need to get groceries afterwards. I can hear it all from the internal clock that these things need to happen. And in 2025, to a good degree, like a good portion of the year, honestly, I did not listen to the internal clock of what needed to be accomplished. I simply didn't listen to it. So I think that was beginning to damage results as well. That has a profound impact on results, although the impact of that is less than some of these other things, like sleep, or being around the right people, or introducing the right people, or energetic practices. That's a really important one. But action, it's so funny. Action might be the least important of the bunch, or at least it's a lower rung thing than the bunch. Like it's 3 or 4 notches down, but the action must be there. The right action should be taken every day, and you should feel a pressure to achieve it. In essence, what this means is that you live in fear all the time. And that's normal. You're supposed to live in fear when you're an entrepreneur. I wouldn't say it's true fear. It's more of like this, you feel this consistent pressure to get the next thing done and to do it well. So these are the reasons why 2025 was a season of being stuck for me. I called season 5 of the YouTube channel a most dangerous year, or the year of living dangerously. But what I'm coming to realize now is that the success or the failure of the year is actually a 2-parter. It's a 2-parter. So it's like 2025, that's like Dune Part 1. It honestly wasn't that good. I am most interested in my life now more than anything else. I am most interested in resurrecting star power, like getting that back to 100%. Ideally making it fire as high as I possibly can this year. And I don't know, I feel as if there's genuinely nothing dragging me down now. It's like I'm not interested in anything else. We know when you hit a low for like a longer period of your life, like it's consistently there for a few seasons over. For the first 6 months of being in a slump, you can sort of get away with living for it, especially if you've had some success, because failure for me is still like success for someone else potentially. So you can kind of, it's okay. You can ride the slump for a little while. But it got to a point now where there's nothing else I'm interested in outside of true resurrection at the highest level possible. So that just makes you see things a little differently. Why was 2025 so stuck? The sleep thing, you know, as simple as it sounds, the subconscious mind. The circle I kept, making sure that I'm an A player so that I only hire and attract other A players. And I'm not a B player who attracts C players. Energetic practices. I fulfilled my understanding and knowledge of energetic practices to like 60, 70, 80%. But I could have held that storm within me for even longer and done things like cold showers, more regular meditation. I think the meditation in 2025, it wasn't super consistent. These things, they help me be a better YouTuber. They help me be a better creator and a better filmmaker. So all of it actually is relevant. Micronutrients, I think cutting out the beef. That's a huge thing for me. And number 5, always attacking the work, never having hesitation, taking that action on the knife's edge. You might as well. It's way more miserable to think about something you should be doing and to not be doing it than to just say, fuck it, let's attack the work as hard as we possibly can. I think there's a good chance these lessons will not need to be relearned and that I'll execute them at a very, very high level. And as a result, get a lot of cascading upward benefit in 2026. My hunch is that my star power is going to climb aggressively in 2026 and beyond. And then the temptations are going to increase. So it's going to be up to for me to decide, am I going to stay on the path now that I've learned this lesson so viciously for like a year and a half? Or am I going to let it get to me even more? 2024 still had a couple of huge breakthroughs. So 2024 didn't feel like the way 2025 did. 2024 had some insane breakthroughs, like dropping like an hour in my marathon time, learning how to swim, completing my first Ironman 73. Well, I DNF'd it, but I still made it to the finish line on one of those races because I abandoned it. So 2024, you know, I was with Melissa. Things were going really well between us that whole year. Things were fantastic. I released River Rats Part 1 in 2024. 2024 had some insane results. 2025 did not feel that same level of success. And so it's up for me to learn from these things now and take it to the next level and beyond. How is 2025 shaped up for you? I'd be keen on the lessons you've learned. You know, to what degree did you execute your year? It's incredibly hard to be at 100%, but I think that effort is worth it. We'll catch you next time.